Hey guys, do you have a working fuel pump but a faulty fuel gauge like what I have here? My fuel gauge never shows properly. There could be a number of reasons to why your fuel gauge isn't working properly. It could be due to the meter itself, loose cabling, faulty fuel level sensors, or a faulty float. To disassemble your fuel gauge, you need to first depressurize the fuel line. To do this, you need to locate the fuse box and then locate the fuel pump fuse to remove it. And once you remove it, the engine will die due to no fuel. Now your engine might not do this, but in my case it did. Locate your fuel pump assembly. Different cars have it at different locations. This car has it under the rear seats, while other cars may have it in the boot under the spare tire compartment. Remove the power connector. There's a clip to press down before lifting or pulling the connector out. At this point, you could use a digital multimeter to check the fuel level sensor's resistance. If they're within range, then your fuel level sensor is working. There could be some other reasons why it's not working. To remove the fuel lines, push down on the clip and then twist and pull out. Be careful, the fuel might spill out. Now make sure you mark down the inject and return lines so they do not get mixed up when you need to put them back. Prepare some cloths to absorb spillage. You wouldn't want your car to be smelling like petrol station all the time. Prepare some cling films and wrap around the fuel lines to prevent contamination, especially when you are not having spare parts ready immediately. Now, start removing screws for the securing plate. The securing plate should be bigger than the excess hole, hence you can only push it aside, you can't take it out. More often than not, when the fuel pump is immersed in the fuel tank for a long time, the fuel pump assembly gets expanded, so it will be quite difficult for you to take out the fuel pump assembly. You need to work your way around the fuel pump assembly. Look for some tools to help you pry around the fuel pump assembly. Eventually, you may be able to get the fuel pump out. Pour away the fuel in the reservoir back into the fuel tank. It is also a good opportunity for you to inspect your fuel tank. I have some debris in the fuel tank. I've made some silly mistake before, and I'm gonna share with you what I did. So my float was faulty. The original float was soaked through with fuel. Guess it was due to wear and tear over time. I thought I could replace it using a couple of melamine sponge wrapped in some tapes and cable ties. It worked for a couple of tries until the tapes dissolved and the melamine sponges went floating in the fuel tank. Unless if you have a suitable replacement material, I went and asked around for work. It's also a good opportunity to clean your fuel tank. You could channel a pipe through the refilling compartment to suck petrol out, or you could do what I did here. I've modified the pumping system from my old shower heater. This is an adjustable pump. The only downside to this is the pump has to be primed my water pump to empty the fuel tank for cleaning purpose. Have some extinguishers ready if you are working with petrol or fuel, highly flammable. Whilst waiting for the float replacement, I covered up the fuel tank to avoid my car getting soaked in petrol smell. Before reinserting the fuel pump assembly, I figured it would be easier to first fill up the fuel tank through the bigger access hole. To reinsert the fuel pump assembly, we need to first get the float in through the hole, then slowly push the whole fuel pump assembly into the fuel tank to avoid spillage. Give it a little bit of wiggle here and there. Be very careful when you're pushing it in.
Low power.
There's only one way that your fuel pump assembly would fit. Get the correct angle as before. Then look for the securing plate, and also you need to look for the correct angle that the plate would be fitted. At this point you can reconnect the fuel lines. Be very sure not to mix between the inject and the return lines. Once installed, you should hear a clip sound and try to wiggle to see if they are properly secured. Finally, reconnect the power cable. Before installing the screws, let's test the system out.
Low power.
Reinsert the fuse. You may try and start the car at this point to see if your fuel pump assembly is working. In my case, I know that my fuel pump assembly is working because I could hear the pump running by just turning the key to on position without starting the engine. Now everything is working, so it's time to put everything back together. When installing the screws, make sure not to miss any, and it's a good practice to install the screws in a crisscross pattern to ensure even pressure on the sealing rubber. Once you're done, close back the rear seats and do a final test before you bring it onto highway. And hey, it's working again.